Welcome to Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Auction, featuring the only classic tractor auction of its kind in the country. Today, some of the hardest to find tractors in the world will hit the auction block, so sit back and relax and enjoy Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Auction.
Hello and welcome to Walworth, Wisconsin, to the 2013 Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Auction. My name is Patrick Holmes, and along with Max Wilson, we are going to bring you hundreds of vintage tractors, antiques, and collectibles over the next 3 days here from Walworth, Wisconsin. So don't go anywhere. All the excitement begins right after this.
Do you have a classic tractor or collection you'd like featured on our weekly show? Well, time is running out for Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Classic Tractor Auction, coming up November 1st and 2nd in Davenport, Iowa. It all happens at the Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds, where we'll feature hundreds of the best vintage tractors anywhere. Just call or log on to Mecum.com to find out all the entry details. And we'll see you November 1st and 2nd in Davenport, Iowa.
Welcome back. We're live at Mecum's World Headquarters here in Walworth, Wisconsin for the 4th annual Mecum's Gone Farmin' Antique and Vintage Tractor Auction. And Max, what an exciting day. This is the third and final day, and we have got tons of tractors, including the Mike White collection coming up this morning.
Yeah, and the Mike White collection is 30 international tractors, all very nicely restored. There's a little bit of everything there. He's got some other colors besides the red, but
mostly red.
Yep.
I have a lot of the folks that are here today have asked me, when's the Mike White collection going? Because that seems to be one of the gems for today's auction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot of people are looking forward to that. So.
We are just moments away from getting started. They always start, it looks like, at these auctions, Max, with some memorabilia, as you said, to kind of get people's arms used to going up.
Yeah, we call them the auction starters. They just kind of get everyone's juices flowing, and Dan kind of likes them to get them going and get them ready to bid and buy. So
how do they select the items? Do they just kind of pull them out of the memorabilia to get the auction going?
They're actually all pretty much like repop neon signs, stuff like that. Just some comical stuff to kind of get the day going. So.
Most of yesterday afternoon, of course, was collectibles and memorabilia after the tractors, and boy, some of those are awful popular.
Oh yeah. There's some high dollar stuff, and just we had manuals. Trinkets, door stops, all related to agriculture and farming. So.
And it looks to start today that we are going to, it looks like a neon international farmall sign. This is, of course, something new that's been reproed, correct?
Yeah, this is just something that someone put together. It's good with bend and neon, and decided a little bit of artistry and come up with this piece here. So.
And it has been sold for $300, the first item to sell on here day 3 of Mecum's 4th annual Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Auction. Number 2, it's got your color. It's an Oliver, but it's green, so maybe you like it a little bit better?
Yeah, a little bit. Oliver throws that red in there a little bit, but they are very sharp-looking tractors. Very nice decorative clock.
Well, something I learned from you yesterday is that John Deere early on actually had some red in their colors.
Yep. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff for a while there. Deere was still trying to figure out their paint scheme, so they had a lot of red on their equipment, the cultivators and plows and that.
Well, this is certainly a must-have for any Oliver collector for their office, is to have a neon Oliver clock. This one is going to somebody for $250. Now it looks like a neon with a deer head for hunters. Something you see at a lot of restaurants, bars, and it's going to look good in somebody's shed or garage.
Yeah, once again, just some stuff to have fun and kind of get the juices flowing for the auction, get the auctioneers warmed up and everyone rolling. So.
Like we said yesterday, there's 3 auctioneers that will rotate throughout the day to keep them fresh, and I got to tell you, we were still going at 7:30 last night, and they were just as fresh as they were first thing in the morning.
Oh yeah, they really keep going. The professionalism of them is just unbelievable.
They've got to keep the energy, and that sold for $300. Now we have a neat repro of a Texaco sign. As you kind of pointed out yesterday, there are some non-farm related things that have nothing to do necessarily with a brand. However, they all have a link. A lot of gas signs from Phillips 66 and Texaco and some different parts companies and Coca-Cola. This one, of course, Texaco, which was one of the fuel providers, of course, for a lot of farmers.
Yeah, Texaco, of course, petroleum products. It all ties to the farm eventually. So.
Now we've got a Chevrolet, something for the automobile enthusiast, because to my knowledge, Chevrolet never made a tractor.
Actually, GM was in the tractor business for a few years under the name Samson. We actually sold one at our April auction.
I learn something new every day.
They're very rare. You don't see many of them. So.
Of course, there's a big link to the automotive business here with the folks at Mecum. We're at their world headquarters in Walworth. We'll talk more about that as the show goes on. But Dan Mecum, of course, is the one that's kind of heading up the tractor side of things. But his well-known dad, Dana, is on the car side. And some of his friends here are probably bidding on this Chevrolet sign, which now is at $225. $200 Oh, we've got a pedal tractor coming in. Boy, those were very popular yesterday. And you've still got one of those, correct?
Oh, I've got a couple of them.
Do you?
Some of the newer ones. I actually have one of these in real nice original condition. I actually found when I was on a service call for my regular job.
Yeah.
And I won't disclose what I paid for it, but I'll just say I got a pretty good deal.
So suffice it to say that if it was here bringing $250, that you'd be making a little?
Yeah, we're getting close.
Okay, good. So it's at $275, and now, of course, with a new son of your own, he'll probably be riding that here in a couple of years.
Yeah, I would probably turn him loose on that. Probably ain't going to be out in the dirt and the sand with it, but the basement, he can run around down there with it.
You better tell him to kind of keep it nice, because that might be a nice down payment on his first semester tuition in college one of these days. $325. Now, this is a really neat piece, too. I grew up on a IH tractor at the home farm in Nebraska, and this is a little bit closer to down what I'm familiar with. This one has a matching trailer, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, and these here, of course, I can be corrected if I'm wrong, but I believe that is one of the newer ones. They started recasting some of them in the last few years, and they've actually gained in popularity. As you can see with the price right now, that's about twice what that sold for here a year or two ago.
Wow, it's already at $400. Great shape. That's the Farmall 560, which we got a couple of those in real life coming through today, a couple of real nice ones in the Mike White collection, so it'll be interesting to see what the real one does. That one sold for $450. This one they've got boxed up, 1998 Farmall M Farm Show.
Yeah, this is actually a pedal tractor in there from the 1998 Farm Progress Show, I would imagine.
I don't think they're going to be taking that one out. Well, while that's selling, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere, because Max Wilson and Patrick Holmes live from Walworth, Wisconsin at the 4th annual Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Auction. We will be right back after a short break.
Do you have a classic tractor or collection you'd like featured on our weekly show? Well, time is running out for Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Classic Tractor Auction, coming up November 1st and 2nd in Davenport, Iowa. It all happens at the Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds, where we'll feature hundreds of the best vintage tractors anywhere. Just call or log on to Mecum.com to find out all the entry details. And we'll see you November 1st and 2nd in Davenport, Iowa.
Welcome back to Walworth, Wisconsin. I'm Patrick Holmes alongside Max Wilson, and we are just getting underway for Day 3 of the 4th annual Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Auction, and we're wrapping up some of the memorabilia and some of the signs that get things going, Max. And this one, it looks like it has some special interest because it's a charity sign that for a kids' cancer charity. Do you know more about this?
Yeah, actually, we do have a tractor that Dan is selling today, and I believe all the proceeds are going to this foundation. And I think probably the proceeds for this sign is also going to this foundation. So kind of interesting, doing some charitable work too.
Now that's not uncommon for the folks at Mecum, of course. The Curing Kids Cancer sign, and it's got the familiar "I'm Sold" Mecum logo on it. They're looking for $2,000 from the floor. Now I'm kind of hoping the person that buys this sign is the one that buys the tractor too. That'd be kind of nice.
I think it would be really neat.
Yeah. We've got in the neighborhood. What do we got? 200 tractors. tractors going through today, Max?
I believe it's 200 or a little over 200 we've got going today. So
we have got quite a day of activity going on. It's going to be kicking off here in just moments. The bid right now on that sign, of course, going to charity is at $3,500. Fantastic.
At $3,500 bid. Anybody get 4,000? Anybody get 4 bid? Anybody get $3,500 now? 4,000. Anybody else? At $4,000, they get $3,500 bid. Anybody get $4,000? Give her a hand, folks. So $3,500.
$3,500, all going to charity, and what a neat piece that will be. Hopefully, sitting right behind the tractor we'll be auctioning off a little bit later for the Curing Kids Cancer Foundation that Mecum put together and sponsoring. So that was the final item of our memorabilia, and we are going to be getting underway here with S#1, the first tractor of day 3, and kind of a unique piece, 1958 John Deere 530. This is a propane tractor, and tell us a little bit about this one, Max.
Well, the 530 propane, there were only 417 of them built with the propane fuel system on it. This one has 3-point fenders, wide front, pretty much everything the guy looks for. It's got the pre-cleaner on it. Of course, the propane that was used primarily in the southern states. Where
I was going to say in Nebraska, very rare for us to see a propane tractor in the Midwest. So
but you go just about a state south, and that was a popular fuel in the late 50s. It was, I think propane was 19 cents a gallon, where gas and diesel fuel was up around 25 to 30 cents a gallon.
I read this morning that Ford Motor Company, the Ford truck's coming out with a propane model that you can order from the factory next year, which is kind of interesting. So it may be coming back in popularity. Right now they've gone down to start the bid about $3,000, and now it's $3,500 on this. Really nicely restored. Again, good tires on this 1958 John Deere, something a guy can put in his collection, or this tractor is obviously still very useful.
Oh yeah, this one here, I mean, it's been restored, but it's still got a little bit of the field wear on it. So I mean, the guy was probably using it a little bit around his estate or his farm, maybe pulling wagons, or might have been hooked up to the feed mixer or whatever.
And nice with the 3-point hookup on this one, which a lot of these tractors in those early years, you just don't see the 3-point.
No, but by the late 50s, I mean, that was pretty much a standard on all the tractors. It was an option, of course. But
Reserve just met at $5,000. The tractor sold for $5,250. The first tractor sell here on day 3. And the next one, wow, here's one that's right up your alley. A 1964 110 John Deere with got the chrome hubcaps on it, nicely restored. Great looking lawn tractor.
Yeah, and of course this is from the first full year of production of the John Deere 110s, which was John Deere's breakthrough into the lawn and garden industry, which of course me working for the local John Deere dealership here in Northern Illinois, I work on the lawn and garden tractors.
So do you still have people bring these in that are still in service to work on?
Once in a while, not too many anymore. This one here also has a 3-speed transmission in it, which was early. So this was early in production. 63 was the first year, but a lot of them prototypes and then the start of production. So this here is a pretty desirable tractor, as you can see, for $2,900 as a lawnmower. It's pretty good. Beautiful restoration on this tractor too.
Well, the reserve has just been met. The tractor right now is at $2,900. Do you think a guy would mow with that, or is that one you got to just put in his collection?
I think that'll probably just be put in the collection.
Yeah.
I've got a real nice original 66 at home that's like that is dead original. That I hope to mow with it at some point. It needs a little bit of attention yet. So.
Well, you probably know a guy that can do that, don't you?
Yeah, I think I might know someone that can handle that.
Well, here is a 1963. This is tractor number 3 for today, a Massey Ferguson 65. It's got a Perkins diesel in it. Looks to be in great condition, wide front end. It's got the 2-stage clutch. Good-looking tractor. It has kind of a unique design to it.
Yeah, and of course this was after Ford and Ferguson had kind of parted ways, and I mean, you look at a Ferguson TO30, it looks real close to a 4010. This is when Massey Ferguson started on their own venture. Almost all of them, the Masseys look low to the ground and squatty like that. Now, the neat part about this is on those rear wheels, you see those rails that kind of have a hook on them?
Yep.
Those are actually what they call power adjust rear wheels. You had a lock bolt that you loosened up, and you stepped on the brake on the other wheel, and it would spin that wheel to set your tread width in and out.
Oh, my goodness. That's kind of unique, kind of ahead of its time. This is an absolute sale, number S4, coming up, a 1948 Farmall M. Narrow front end, again, real nice tires. Looks like a beautiful restoration.
Yeah, and of course, this is a little bit later in production for the Farmall M's. They were built from 39 to about 52, and then they became the Super M's. I mean, this has nice paint, nice tires. Actually, kind of a deal right now where it's sitting at $1,500.
Yeah, somebody's going to, it looks to be making it with a no reserve. This one is going home with somebody right now at $1,700. And something you pointed out yesterday is, painting tires on these things you couldn't do for this kind of money. This is going to make somebody a really good buy at this point.
No, and a lot of them anymore, Patrick, it's cheaper to buy them done than it is to restore them. But you got to be real thankful for the people that are doing the restoration work and putting the money in these tractors. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be sitting where we are right now calling this auction.
That's a fact. Looks like we're at $2,000 right now. Still a really good bargain for that classic 1948 Farmall M, sold for $2,000. Next tractor is kind of a unique piece. Certainly, as you walk through the yard, this one stands out as something you don't see every day. It's a 3-tire version. It's a 47 Silver King.
Yeah, and of course, Silver King was made by the Plymouth Motor Company. No real link with the Plymouth cars.
Okay.
These tractors here were popular. You don't see many of them anymore. It's one of those short line companies that kind of went by the wayside. They got swallowed up by another company. But there were tractors from Silver King that were capable of 35 to 40 miles an hour on the road.
My goodness.
And with that single front wheel, you want to make sure everything's right and tight with that steering wheel. You're going to go for one heck of a ride.
Again, great tires on this vehicle, nice restoration, a good bargain for somebody that wants a pretty unique tractor right now at $1,700. Not sure what's wrong with it mechanically because it is being pulled through, but that's going home with somebody today for $1,700. Up next is S6. This is a 1948 John Deere A. Again, look, it's still got the nubs on the tires, brand new tires on this tractor. This one's at $3,500 right now. The reserve is off. That tractor's going home. Again, another great example of a nicely restored late 40s model John Deere. Wow, really unique piece coming up in here now. This is a Rumley L.
Yeah, and of course this is right at the point where gas and kerosene tractors were starting to take over for the steam engines, doing the field work and everything. And this is a smaller, lighter tractor, which the steam engines, of course, were large. And of course, you look at this, you're going smaller, lighter tractor. There's a lot of iron in it. Well, there is. And of course, this is also a 2-cylinder design. That box in the front that looks like a radiator, that's actually your exhaust comes up through there, and it's called a Rumley oil pump was what they were called, and it's actually oil cooled.
My goodness, you can see the pipe coming out of that and going back to the motor.
And of course, it worked on the whole theory of heat rises and cool drops. And a lot of these tractors, the early ones, even into the John Deere's up until 52, did not have water pumps. They worked on what they called thermosiphon. Heat rises, cool drops, so it just kind of circulates on its own once up to operating temperature.
About what year vintage is this tractor? I know it doesn't have a year posted.
This would probably be in the mid to late 20s.
Okay. And it looks like it had a restoration at some point, not recently, but looks to be in pretty decent condition. Being pulled through the auction. Right now it's at $13,500.
And they did have that running before, and their unique sound, with that big opening, they kind of got a thump-thump sound.
So the bid goes on at $13,500. Coming up next, a neat little tractor. It's an Alice Chalmers. It's a B. Number S10 coming through. Nicely restored. Very nice-looking decals on it.
Yeah, and of course these tractors here, this was the baby of the Alice Chalmers lineup in the late 40s, early 50s. Just a handy little tractor for the vegetable farmer. A lot of these nowadays get Woods belly mount mowers put on them, and guys use them for mowing their 5- and 6-acre estates, and they are a nice little tractor for that. A lot of fun just to play with, and of course Alice Chalmers, they were popular for their engine response. Their governors in these things were real snappy. You could pull them down, but they'd come right back, and a lot of people really liked them for belt work.
And a good buy on this tractor for just $1,700. Somebody could have an awful lot of fun with that little tractor for not a lot of money. Yeah, not sure the reserve is off yet, but now it's up to $2,000 as it rolls out of the arena.
the nice part about these is they're small enough that a guy can put this in his little 2-car garage in a subdivision, and small enough you can put it on a trailer behind a half-ton pickup and haul at the shows. So.
And they still got some bids going at $2,200. They stopped the driver. And so tell me about the drivers. There is just a tremendous number of guys that probably get a kick out of driving these tractors through. But, not just anybody can hop on some of these old vintage tractors and get them to drive.
No, and what we've got here is the local tractor club from the area here. Dan brings them in and kind of helps them out with their scholarship funds.
That one sold for $2,400. Let's go now. We've got Chelsea out and about walking through the grounds doing some interviews with some very interesting people. Chelsea, who do you have for us?
Pat, I'm here with Kevin Edwards, who's another auctioneer from Mecum. How long have you been auctioneering for?
I've worked for Dana since 1989 for the family.
So you work on the block as well as with the crowd? Mostly
out in the crowd, and I really like it out there. You have a lot of fun with the people. They're great people out in that crowd. They have a great time.
How do you bring in the sales?
We just try and get them to bid and get the seller and buyer put together. Sometimes it's pretty easy and sometimes it's not.
So what does it take to be a real good ringman?
You got to get along with people and try and understand what they're trying to do and get along with the seller and see if we can't get them put together.
So what's different about doing a gone farming auction opposed to anything else that you've been involved in?
Well, the car auctions, we know a lot of our customers. The farm auctions are a little bit newer, and you got to get to know who's buying and who's selling and what they buy and what they sell. If you got a guy wanting to buy John Deere's, you got to learn that, and if you got a guy wanting to buy the red tractors, you got to learn that. But once you get them figured out, it makes it easier to know where to look.
Thanks for joining us today, Kevin, and good luck out there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chelsea. We'll be checking in with the lovely Chelsea from time to time today as she tracks down some bidders and some buyers and some auctioneers. She's doing a good job out there for us today. And yesterday, it is a steel-wheeled John Deere. Boy, this is an old one, a 1937 John Deere A. Again, great restoration. Very, very neat piece, but it's not something you want to drive down your new asphalt driveway.
No, and of course this here John Deere unstyled A with the correct John Deere wide front, very hard to find, very desirable tractor. We've had a few of these come through here over the last few years, and they're always a pretty good seller. This one's selling at no reserve, so the owner of this tractor says it's time to let it go.
Somebody else is going to enjoy it. It's quickly going up to $3,500. This one, it's always kind of a draw to see these big steel-wheeled tractors, especially one that's unstyled like this that doesn't have the new sheet metal on it. This is a neat draw for somebody's collection, now up to $4,500. No reserve, by the way. This one's going home with a new owner today.
Yeah, and I've got a 37A at home that's on rubber with a narrow front, which was how most of them were built. I want to say it was something right around only 200 and some were built with the wide front on an A and the unstyled. So,
yeah,
but they were only built for 5 years. So.
Given that, a pretty good bargain at $4,500. Great little acreage tractor here, kind of the predecessor to what we see as the small compact tractors today. This is the Farmall Cub.
Yeah, and once again, you look at it, it's a one-row tractor. You got that offset for cultivating, good view to the work. The weird part was the Farmall A, I don't think ever had hydraulics on it. The Cubs did.
Wow. And what vintage? This doesn't have a year on it. What year are we looking at here?
Oh, they built Cubs for a lot of years. I want to say it was right around 41, 42 was when they started. And, of course, the Farmall Cub changed quite a few times over the years, but I think they were still building them up into the 60s as Cub low boys and everything. Now, the neat part is the transmission on this is the same 4-speed transmission or 3-speed transmission that is in the Cub Cadet lawnmowers.
Is that right?
It's the same transmission.
No
they just
kidding.
Run final drives. So.
Boy, that's a great-looking tractor at $1,900. Somebody's going to have a lot of fun with that. Sold, going down the road, number S13. Coming up next, a 1946 Farmall HV. Nice wide front end. Good tires, nice restoration on this one. Lots of red paint.
Yeah. And, of course, 1946, that was kind of a transition year. I believe in 46 was when you see the McCormick name on the decal. I think in 47 or 48 they changed that to International Harvester Farmall.
Boy.
So and then even
so this is one of the final years to have McCormick on there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And 39 and 40 and I think 41 they had McCormick Deering Farmall on the decal. So you can kind of predate the tractor there. The other thing is the IHC logos were cast into a lot of the pieces on here, the transmission, footrest, and the sides. And if it has that IHC, you pretty much know it was built before 46. If it just has an IH logo, it goes higher.
This one's also got some very skinny fenders on it. You mentioned earlier that not all the fenders, of course, go over the tires. These here just seem to be, about as small fenders as you're going to see on one of these.
Yeah, and those are the factory fenders for it. You don't see many of them on the Highcroft because they do kind of stick out like a sore thumb. But
yeah. And that one's down the road for $6,000. Number S15, Max, is a 41 John Deere D. Not the typical tractor you see. It's quite a bit shorter. It's got the fatter tires and wheels on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's all pretty much the way it came from the factory. If you look at beautiful restoration on this, of course, the D's, that's the granddaddy of the John Deere tractors right there. The Waterloo boy would be the great grandpa, but the D is the granddaddy of them all. And John Deere, the tractor was so popular, they built it for 30 years, from 1923 to 1953. Not sure on all the production numbers, how many were actually built, but I mean, there were so many variations. A guy could just have a collection of probably over 100 tractors with all the variations of the Model D.
My goodness. So. Great looking tractor. This one in fantastic condition. It's at $5,000 right now.
And of course, you see, it's a hand start tractor. You got to actually spin that flywheel to get her going.
I remember the days, our old John Deere. My dad never let us do it when we were little kids. He thought he would rip our arms off when that thing kicked back. But that one is sold for $5,000. Given the nature of that restoration, Max, that looked like a pretty good bargain.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. I can tell you right now, I've got one at home. I've got at least that wrapped up into it, and I don't have paint on it.
And it
yet,
doesn't quite look that good yet. All right. Number 16 is a 1949 John Deere M. It's got a recent valve job, so it seems to be running real good. New brakes, engine work. Again, really nice tires on this. Good-looking little tractor. This one somewhat unique in the fact that it's still got the green hubcaps on it.
Yeah, and they kind of carried that over from the Model L to the M. Just kind of dressed them up. These tractors, of course, John Deere had two different factories at this point, and these tractors were built at Dubuque, Iowa, where that D that came through just a minute ago, that was built in Waterloo, Iowa at the tractor plant.
So both in the same state, but
And, of course, 1949M, that's 2 years into production. They came out in 47, replaced the Model H and the Model L in L.A., handy little one-row tractor. They're a lot of fun. Of course, on the back, you got Deere's answer to Ford Ferguson's three-point hitch. They had a little two-point hitch for the mounted equipment.
That tractor, again, new tires, beautiful restoration, lots of engine work, and the price shows it. That's at $6,000 right now.
Yeah, and it looks like we're into that Richard Zadig collection right now. So that D and then this M, and now the I believe that's an AR coming in right now. All from one guy. So
that tractor sold for $6,000. Yeah, the next one is a 1936, and boy, I love the wheels on this one.
Yeah, and of course that tractor probably came out from the factory on steel wheels. Those are what we call cut-offs, and what they did is they cut the steel wheels off and welded the rubber tire rims onto the spokes where they were cut off. Some people say it makes it less valuable. I still say when you've got a restoration like that, buying original round spokes gets expensive. I mean, the guy did this right. I mean, everything's painted up nice, and who knows, a better part of that tractor's life, it was on those cut-off spokes, and I kind of like seeing them.
Yeah, that might not have been done recently. That could have been done way back in the day, you're saying.
Yeah, that could have been done in 1938. Yeah. So
right now it's at $3,750. It's called an orchard tractor.
Yeah. And, of course, it didn't have all the full sheet metal, but it had no exhaust stack up the top. It just had the little mushroom caps for the intake.
And that's so the low-hanging trees wouldn't get caught. Yeah.
And even the operator and everything, you set down a little bit lower on those between the fenders so that you could duck. It might get your hat knocked off, but it's not going to take your head off.
And they're working as they must be at the reserve on that one. They are looking at $3,600. So while they try to get that one wrapped up, Max Wilson, Patrick Holmes here in Walworth, Wisconsin at Mecum's Gone Farmin Vintage Tractor Auction. We're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. We have got dozens and dozens of vintage tractors coming up right after this.
Do you have a classic tractor or collection you'd like featured on our weekly show? Well, time is running out for Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Classic Tractor Auction, coming up November 1st and 2nd in Davenport, Iowa. It all happens at the Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds, where we'll feature hundreds of the best vintage tractors anywhere. Just call or log on to Mecum.com to find out all the entry details. And we'll see you November 1st and 2nd in Davenport, Iowa.
Welcome back, tractor enthusiasts, to the Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Auction. Max Wilson and Patrick Holmes bringing you all the action today, and boy, there is a lot. There has been some beauties. A couple of big collections coming through, Max. Now we've had several John Deeres. This one just coming through, and I wanted to comment on the umbrella. Was that a factory option back in 1951?
Yes, that was a factory option. A lot of them did not survive.
Oh, this is the Curing Kids Cancer Tractor, a 51 John Deere AR. Mm-hmm. All the proceeds, including what the sign sold for earlier,
I believe
is going to this.
Is
going to that charity. So right now we're starting to bid, throwing it out at $25,000. Pretty nice little tractor right here.
Yeah, actually, this was just a fresh repaint from Hilltop Restoration. It does some paint work for Dan and the Gone Farming Auction. So this one was actually last Saturday or Sunday. I had to go down and give them a hand with getting it going after they got done with the paint. So I've actually had my fingerprints on this one.
So how do you grade the restoration on this? Is this a parade quality tractor?
Yeah, it is a parade quality tractor. There's every tractor, I don't care how well you go through it, there's always going to be some little issues and hiccups that come up. But this is actually probably a pretty nice and straight tractor. I mean, there was very little body work had to be done to it. So
this has got a nice vertical grill that a lot of the John Deeres don't, with many splines in it. That's a good-looking tractor.
Yeah, this was kind of the precursor. We might see a Model R come through later, and I think that's kind of the scheme was taken from this to the Model R to kind of make them standards just look that big and meaty stance. So
right now we're at $15,000. Is that quite a bit more than this tractor is worth because somebody wants to donate to charity?
Yeah, I guess I really don't want to say that it's not worth that.
Well, but because they're helping cure cancer, it's worth it.
Because of the benefit that it's going to, that is why it's bringing what it's doing.
And it is in fantastic condition, sold for $15,000. So nice donation to the Curing Kids Cancer Foundation. Great part of what the Mecum family is all about. The next item up is S20, a 1957 Farmall 350. Again, another beautiful restoration, and it's got those adjustable wheels on the rear.
Yeah, the power adjuster wheels on it and the factory wide front on it. Beautiful. I mean, this tractor, I was walking around it earlier, and I'm a John Deere guy, but I really appreciate.
You can appreciate this one, huh? Your wife would probably like this one.
Oh yeah, yep.
Right now, this is a no reserve tractor, so somebody is taking this one home, and just a beautiful, beautiful paint job, nice paint scheme, good styling, a classic Farmall styling on this one. $4,500 at this point, and this one is selling. Notice that it's got some type of gauge. Is that an aftermarket gauge, or is that a factory?
It's a factory tachometer for it and hour meter. So this here, I believe we are into. Yes, we are into the Mike White collection here. So.
Oh, fantastic.
We're going to have a nice string here of Farmalls that are going to be coming through.
And my understanding is that every one of the Mike White tractors is at no reserve.
Yeah.
So these are absolute sales. So I actually was speaking to a gentleman from Estes Park, Colorado today that brought his 29-foot trailer here from Colorado with the intention of filling it up with some part of the Mike White collection. Just he's well known in the industry as a great collector, and boy, he has got some beauties here. This tractor, it's $7,200. It's bringing a pretty nice price.
Yeah, we are going to see some. I mean, the restorations on these tractors are just they're top shelf. And you know what? When the guy knows that his tractors are restored that well, he's going to let them go at no reserve because he knows they're going to bring what they're worth.
They're going to bring the dough.
I mean, here's the big brother to that 350 that just rolled through. The 450 equipped almost identical, a factory wide front, spin out rear wheels or power adjuster wheels, new tires.
And that 350 sold for $7,500.
And
Again, it's got the small factory fenders on this one. Just a beautiful tractor. Again, just a stellar restoration on this one. No reserve, again, from the Mike White collection. You know he's got some nice tractors. He's got actually a multi-page brochure that was handed out to the bidders this morning and yesterday to promote these tractors, and just a fantastic job. Do you know if Mike White has his own restoration facility, or does he ship these out, or do you have any idea?
That I'm not sure on, Patrick. If he's doing these on his own, I mean, I know a few guys that do their own restorations, and they can get paint like that, but paint is one of the most frustrating things you can try and do on your own. If a guy's got a good background and he's patient, he can get a paint job like this in his own little farm shop, or a lot of these guys, I guess I'm kind of kidding when I say little farm shop, because some of them are pretty elaborate shops. So
yeah, this is I guess I would call almost automotive quality paint on some of these Mike White tractors. They're just fantastic. This one going at $9,000. Let's go out now to Chelsea, who is out and about interviewing some very interesting folks. Chelsea, who do you have for us?
Thanks, Pat. I'm here now with Ed Nelson, and I understand that you consigned a vehicle with Mecum Auctions.
Yes, I did. I have a 1930 replica Reaper of the original 1830 Reaper, which was invented by Cyrus McCormick, the beginning of International, and the first machine ever patented to harvest grain for the farmer.
That sounds very unique.
It is.
What made you decide to consign it with Mecum?
Well, I've heard that they had a good reputation, and wanted to bring it back to Wisconsin. I'm from Minnesota, and the machine originally came out of the Wisconsin area, so I thought I'd bring it back. I've had it for 25 years, and felt that it was time to maybe have somebody else take it. It's been to a lot of museums, a lot of county fairs. I've had a lot of fun with it over the last 25 years.
That sounds like an amazing tractor. Are you here for anything else in particular?
No, I just came here to see the auction and see how it goes, and that's about it.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful time, and I hope your tractor does well. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea. We'll be checking in with Chelsea from time to time today, and we continue with the Mike White collection. And, man, if you are an international fan, this is the place to be today. This is a gorgeous tractor coming up next. They're just finishing up on the 57 450, which is at $14,000. Now it's at $15,000.
Still climbing. I mean, every one of these tractors, they are just beautiful. So
he does a remarkable job, obviously, with his restorations. And what's interesting is this one's bringing so much more than the 350 that was right before it. And they're very similar tractors.
Yeah, the 450 was just a big brother to the 350, and I don't know, someone evidently likes that 450 a little bit more. So
$15,000 up next, 1959 International 660 Wheatland.
Yeah, here we've got that 660 Wheatland. That is just it's a big horse right there is what it is. And, of course, 1959, this was a competition for that John Deere 830. Mm-hmm. And, of course, this had six-cylinder diesel. It was a lot more I don't want to say Deere was outdated at this point, but they were definitely out-cylindered by 4-2 or 6-2.
Yeah.
So, but
again, look at the sheen on this tractor, beautifully restored with great decals and emblems. And, of course, all of the Mike White tractors, at least up to this point, have been knee-deep in rubber. Mm-hmm. What a great addition to somebody's collection. $7,200. Again, all of the White collection selling at no reserve. So, again, this tractor's got a new owner today at some point.
Yeah, and it's $7,900, $8,000 now. Just the tractors are speaking for themselves. The people are liking what they're seeing. They're bidding, and they're bidding well for these tractors.
And this one just went by $9,000, and lots of interested bidders in this one.
And, of course, you see it's got the chrome straight pipe on it. A lot of guys, they like that on those six-cylinder diesels. Actually, you see the guy there, he's cracking the throttle on her, getting a little R's out of it, kind of make her bark. So.
And he's starting to roll, and it was sold at $9,000, so that one's going home. This one was a unique tractor. I was out looking at this yesterday. This is a demonstrator that was used by International as a demonstrator as I was reading about it. Great-looking tractor, unique because, of course, the gold paint, and this was factory-owned. This is a 1970 model.
Yeah, and the gold demos, of course, IH was painting their demos white originally. In the Farm All H's and M's, they were white demonstrators. And then they went to this gold scheme team when they came out with the German diesel in these 826s and everything. Kind of made them stand out, and when you drove by the IH dealership and you saw that gold tractor there, you pretty much knew that you would go grab that thing, and they would bring it out to the farm and let you play with it for a couple hours. So.
Well, it looks like that's got some value because this one just flew past $13,000. Again, this no reserve auction from the Mike White collection. 1970 model 826 gold demo. As noticed, there is a letter from Case IH that is documenting that this was a demonstrator, and again, just a near perfect restoration on this tractor. Now it's at $28,000, $29,000, $30,000. Very, very popular. This is one of the stars of the show, certainly.
Yeah, and of course, this was used by Case IH Corporation for a promotion that they just did here in the last few years. So, right there, it's speaking for itself. I mean, Case IH actually wanted this tractor so that they could use it. So, and $40,000, Patrick, is maybe one of our big sellers today.
It certainly is, and I think we've got a few more to come. But this one certainly exceeded what many thought it would bring. Now it's just at $42,000 as it's rolling out of the arena. So we'll see where it ends up, because this again is selling at no reserve. Now at $44,000. There's a couple of guys that really want to take this one home.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the demonstrators, I mean, there weren't that many of them.
Yeah.
And this one's got all the documentation, everything to verify. I mean, any guy can take an 826 and paint it that color. So this one here is actually the demonstrator.
$44,000, and boy, that one's going to really be the jewel of somebody's collection. This one, actually, I think this is on the cover of the Mike White collection catalog that they had. A beautiful 1206, got the 3-point, the front weight. But I think what's really remarkable about this tractor, is, as many of the Mike White tractors, Max, is the restoration quality.
Yeah, I mean, these tractors were beat to death in the field. I mean, there's a few farmers that really took care of them, but these were made to work.
They worked, yeah.
So when you get one and you can bring it back to this level, I mean, the paint on this thing's beautiful. Some guys, when they restore them, they'll leave a little ding or dent. This one here, I mean, if there were dings and dents, they were pounded back out, and you can see it. You can almost shave in the paint on this.
There's no question about it. There's not a drip on that motor. A lot of these, of course, these old tractors have a little leak here or there, but this tractor's got a full rack of weights on the front. Just a beautiful tractor. Now it's at $31,000.
That red and white paint scheme just sets these things apart, and then I believe the 1206s were the only ones that they put the white fenders on.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
so
that does look a little bit different.
You can always come across the 1206 and you pretty much know what it is by those fenders.
That chrome stack, is that a factory option, or is that something that these guys added on afterwards?
It's something that someone added on just to kind of
customize it a little bit, like you do automobiles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think this one is exceeding some expectations at $37,000. I think that speaks to the quality of not only this collection, but this particular tractor.
Well, and once again, selling at no reserve. The guys letting the tractor stand tall, and
they're speaking for themselves. And
the big thing is, a lot of the stuff, when you're selling at no reserve and you know you've got a good quality tractor, they will speak for themselves. And the bidders, it usually gets the bidders just going nuts over it. So
that one's going home for $38,000. I'm interested to see who bought that, because I know the individual that I was speaking to this morning from Estes Park bought his trailer particularly for this tractor. So that one might be going to Colorado, but we'll have to see. Neat piece now coming in, and you and I are kind of laughing about these yesterday because, being kind of a car fanatic, I thought this one looked aerodynamic, like maybe this thing was built for speed. A 1941 McCormick Deering Grove tractor.
Yeah, and of course in 04, this would be about the same size as a Farmin H engine-wise. But of course you got these sloping hoods and everything, and that was mainly to keep the fruit and the branches from being damaged while you were going through and cultivating or mowing the lanes in your orchard. So.
And it looks like the driver can kind of almost hide behind that windshield a little bit so he didn't get poked in the eye.
Yep, so you didn't get hit in the eye. The big thing is some of them later on, the openings were cut out and just some expanded metal in there, because you duck down, you're not going to be able to see where you're going, so you want to make sure you're on the straight and narrow before you duck.
Well, this one, again, a beautiful restoration from the Mike White collection. The paint on this one is fantastic and glossy. It's at 10.5 right now. A very unique piece. for somebody. Driving out now still at 10.5 at a no reserve auction. Very close to putting the hammer down on this one. Coming up next, we have a 1948. This is a McCormick Deering also. This is an OS6 orchard tractor. This one, though, being an orchard tractor, does not have the aerodynamic bat wing, so to speak, that they have on that last one.
No, and that was all options. You could order it with or without. This guy here, it might have been that he had an apple orchard and you didn't have to worry about damaging any fruit, because when you're doing your mowing and all that, it's before the apples are completely on the trees, but it's still low slung enough to get underneath your tree branches. Only 831 OS6 tractors made. This is one of the hardest orchard IH tractors to find. Of course, you notice the hoods have that perforated. They're drilled across top. That was to let the heat out when you did have that full orchard sheet metal on
because
there.
This one does not have the stack sticking up like so many tractors. Again, that's common with the orchard tractors.
Right, and if you notice, the radiator cap sits a little bit lower than it did on some of the tractors, and even the fuel cap is kind of protected so that the branches didn't catch it and knock it off. You got that little ramp there, that's where your gauges sit, and that just kind of lets
kind of
it
a
up
sleek,
over.
cool-looking little tractor, 1948 model, right now at $5,000, part of the No Reserve Mike White collection. Again, this collection well known for its extraordinarily quality restoration. A whole lot more to come right here on RFD TV from Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Show. We'll be back in a moment.
Do you have a classic tractor or collection you'd like featured on our weekly show? Well, time is running out for Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Classic Tractor Auction, coming up November 1st and 2nd in Davenport, Iowa. It all happens at the Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds, where we'll feature hundreds of the best vintage tractors anywhere. Just call or log on to Mecum.com to find out all the entry details. And we'll see you November 1st and 2nd in Davenport, Iowa.
Well, Max, that's going to wrap up this week's Mecum's Gone Farmin' Vintage Tractor Auction Show. It's going to come to the viewers each week at 5:30 on Tuesdays on RFD TV. A whole lot of people made happy over the last couple of days.
Oh, yeah. Been a lot of happy bidders and buyers, sellers. I think everyone all around is pretty happy with the results.
Whether you're a collector or just an enthusiast, Mecum has a vehicle for you. You can go to Mecum.com to see not only the antique tractor shows coming up, but also the classic automobiles as well. So be sure to tune in every Tuesday at 5:30 right here on RFD TV for Mecum's Gone Farmin' Antique Tractor Show. Max Wilson, Pat Combs, we'll see you next week.